there's one more Zeitgeist topic I wanted to bring up, and this is a post that went viral on X, and it was about fantasy readers getting tired of DM written
Yeah.
fantasy. So, Jonathan, as a DM,
Yeah.
what is a DM, and to walk us through this story?
So a DM is a dungeon master, and it's basically the DM's job to take a story, make up a story, take a different story, mostly we plagiarize, and let our players play through this story. And then you adjust the story based on what the players do. And good DMs do it to maximize their players' enjoyment of the story. But it really depends on what the players want, which is why D&D is great for covering all
Which
four
stands
of
for
the
Dungeons
terms.
and Dragons.
Right, but it's basically just a catch-all term for any kind of tabletop RPG, because some people like doing sci-fi. There's a Warhammer 40K, there's a Star Wars one, there's a Lord of the Rings one. There's all kinds of things you can do, depends on the setting you want to play in. So I'm just going to use the term D&D. A DM's job is to take low-grade stories and let people play through it. You don't want it to be too high, too literary, or too epic, because then people can't interact with it. You don't want your players to have to be speaking in High Elvish. Okay, you just say, okay, you have the High Elvish skill, so you're speaking in Elvish now. The point this guy is making is that reading books shouldn't be the same as playing through a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, because a book should have a higher production value to it, is kind of what he's saying. The problem right now with the ease of publishing is that a lot of trash is getting published, and there's a lot of very low production value kind of books being put out, and they can burn up time. If you're the kind of person that says, I never not finish a book, I finish every book. I don't do that anymore. I used to say that.
There's also a derivativeness. A lot of some DMs will use their play sessions as inspiration for their writing, which makes everything kind of a generic version of D&D, which is already a generic version of Tolkien.
Right.
And
you can't copy a copy a copy.
Like, some people won't put a monster in their book unless there's a D&D page on it. And it's like, at that point, are you really telling a story? Like, are you any better than just using AI to write your story for you if you're letting your playtesters play? Now, I will say, in defense of this, a D&D play session in some ways is a version of the bedtime story, but with dice.
Yes.
So there's a interactivity if you tell bedtime stories. And Jonathan, I know you tell bedtime stories. Right now, I'm telling my kids the stories of Odysseus because we're listening to Epic the Musical.
Of course you are.
My kids are loving Epic the Musical.
Okay,
but
in the chat, do you want to hear Thomas sing?
I'm not singing them.
Sing the bedtime story, Thomas.
But they want to. So there's songs about Odysseus and the Cyclops, and it tells the story, right? The songs are narrative songs, but it's using a lot of big words. My children are wanting to understand it better, and some of the storytelling is actually visual. So watching it, the animatics of it fill in some of the gaps because it's just music and there's a fight scene. And so if you don't already know the story of the Odyssey, there's a few points that are a bit unclear. So anyway, I'm telling them the story of the Odyssey, which is not interactive, but I also tell them stories of my own creation, and they will sometimes be like, have him do this, or no, he wouldn't say that, right? Like there's an interactivity to it, and that's part of the fun. And it's also part of what helps keep the story resonant is that interplay where the audience is like, we want the couple to get together. Like, we just kiss her already. Youth is wasted on the wrong people, right?
But you have to understand that fun is a social setting. Everyone's contributing, everyone's having a good time, okay? And it's great. It's honest, it's addictive, okay? The problem is that fun does not translate to the book you write out of that. Because no one gets to interact with it, no one gets to contribute, no one gets to do the things in that social setting, which means that Matt, I'm so sorry. Which means that you're not going to have the same effect, and it's going to be really confusing. You're like, why didn't this land? Well, your story was so micro-targeted to that player group that it's not going to land with anyone else. It's a different setting. It's a different mechanism. So that's why DM-type fantasy, people are very tired of it because they didn't get to be a part of the creative process. I still have people in my player groups who laugh and love and talk about the kind of crazy crap we got up to in our D&D sessions, and I can't novelize them because none of you will get it. And you're just going to feel left out. It's like people talking about jokes that, you know, the five of us would love it, but no one else will.
And if you're going to be a DM writing kind of a DM derivative type story, go the whole way and write a lit RPG. Like there is a genre for you, for people who actually want the dice and the numbers, and he had strength of 10 and he punched him with agility of 12. Like that, there's a very vibrant genre of people who want that sort of thing. But people who are not reading
Little did you know about my ring of jumping.
There is, you know, people who are reading. There actually saw another tweet of somebody who's like, if you're writing fantasy, never use a number. Never say it was 4 miles. Always say it was down the road. Never, you know, because as soon as you count a number, some autistic reader is going to start counting, and it's going to take them out of the story.
Where's the map?
Yeah, and it's like. Yeah. That is an approach to writing, right? And this is why knowing who your audience is really important, right? If you're writing for a more female audience that doesn't want things quantified, that's good. But there is a certain kind of autistic reader who does want things quantified. They want to know that you're strength of 12, and then you leveled up and you became strength of 15. And so with all of this Zeitgeist stuff, the Zeitgeist should never get in between you and your reader.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're here to thrill Timothy, your reader. And Zeitgeist is hopefully a tool for helping understand reader, because the fish doesn't know it's wet. We don't really understand the culture that we're in until we get out of it. I went to a 70s style, like themed restaurant today with some friends. It was like, this is making me uncomfortable. Like, I don't fit in here. This is not a restaurant for me. There are things here that are offensive to me. And it was a character of the 70s, and it was like, this is. I had to debrief with my wife after I went to the 70s restaurant, because it's like it was a different time. And
it was a time, understand what just happened.
It was a time I'm not nostalgic for. I wasn't alive in the 70s. I don't even remember the 80s. And so it's like, you know, there's good things and bad things in the 70s. And there, you know, every generation has its own sins that it faces, and its own challenges and its own triumphs. And understanding the times is key. And I hope that this helps. If you have questions, if you're a patron, I'm going to take a brief break, and then I'm going to jump over to the patrons only Q&A. Next week, Jonathan is either going solo or he's going to have a guest. I'm going to be out of town, so God help you all.
I'm going to use Midjourney and AI Thomas into next to me, and he's going to sing.
I'm going to make actually, it'd be interesting to have an AI Thomas as a co-host to see what he has to say.